bit about myself. My name is Jhonny Mercier. I was born in Port-au-Prince, Haiti. I was raised in New York, primarily Queens, Southside Jamaica. I moved to Upper Darby my sophomore or junior year. I've been a police officer for almost 8 years now. I've worked in a couple other departments, Darby Borough being one, Villanova being three, and my second department was University of Penn. So I got a chance to work in a different university as a police officer, which is located in West Philly. Prior to that, I worked in a prison, so I've been in law enforcement for a little under 10 years now. The reason why I chose to work at Villanova is because it was a newer department, and I felt like it was an opportunity to actually make an impact, a change in how a department grows. Like the police department side of public safety started in 2016. So it is a fairly new department versus like police departments that's been around since the early 50s or 60s, or even before that. So Villanova being like a brand new police department, I felt like, oh, this is an opportunity for Jhonny to come in and actually have an impact on how our police department is formed. I feel like my identity is the primary role. I've always been an outgoing person. Living in New York, you kind of have to be. And I've always been the type you can place me in any group of people and I'll be able to get along with them. That's just always been me. And I take that same characteristics and I apply that into my daily life as a police officer. Getting to actually know people, talking to people, that's something that I do naturally. It's not work to me. So being an officer of color at Villanova University, it was a bit challenging. Although they have security guards that is in public safety, for a while I was the only black police officer on campus. Right now it's a total of 3. There's a young lady, and they just hired another brother. So now there's 3 of us that are police officers on campus. Before a while it was just me, and normally that would be difficult because there are certain things that as your culture you can't really talk about or someone else wouldn't understand. I mean, we listen to different type of musics, we come from different settings, we eat different stuff. That anyone that works in a professional setting where they're the only person of color, that could be difficult. But working at Villanova, it wasn't as hard because I had security guards here that were of color. So one of the biggest challenges that I face as a police officer, I look at it at this. When I'm out of uniform, I'm a black male. Call me young, call me old, doesn't matter, I'm a black male. And I feel like I'm constantly hated as a black male. When I put on the uniform, I'm constantly hated, but I'm hated by sometimes my own. So it feels like I'm constantly hated whether I'm at work or at home. So that's challenging in and of itself because you're constantly taking on people's problems. I mean, anytime someone calls 911, it's not to say, yo, what's up, how you doing? It's because they have an issue that you need to try to help solve. So you're constantly taking on those issues. One conversation that I had that really impacted me, it was actually with 2 students that are alumni now. We were having a conversation in second story, and this was during like 2020, during the civil unrest, and basically they said, whether we want you here or not, you still have to be here for us. I'm like, wow. You know what I mean? Like, these are 2 students, like that right there, that conversation has never left me. Sometimes you forget that because you feel like you're putting yourself out there so much where you're trying to help someone or you're trying to solve problems, but you're just kind of like shoot away. Like walking down the hall in uniform, it's like, why is he here? You know what I mean? Not knowing that I'm just gonna use the bathroom, you know what I mean? But that conversation right there is like, all right, whether you want me here or not, if you call 911, I promise you I will be there. As far as 2020, how it affected my life, I feel like this is something that affected everyone because of the civil unrest. It's very, very unfortunate that we had to watch this man die on film for everyone to start listening and understanding like, yo, there is an issue here. It sucks that had to happen, and like all the riots and like all the protests. It sucks that someone that's lived a, not so much a perfect lifestyle, but lived a life that they didn't know that this was going on, that we had to go through this in order for them to see that this is an issue. And although it is unfortunate, people are listening now. One thing that pops up in my mind with Black history, it's a celebration. So growing up in Haiti, we used to have festivals in the street where just everyone would dance. Like, it's like a carnival, kind of like what they have in New York, like in Brooklyn. But like, it was all throughout the streets of Haiti, and I always loved that as a kid. I kind of take that same sentiment when it comes to like Black history, because it's a chance for us to celebrate who we are and be unapologetically Black and get a chance to learn more about our history. Because one thing I don't like about history, I mean, even if you break down the word, it's his story. There's so much lies between history. It's hard for us to actually know. Now, one thing I love about this new generation is they seek that knowledge, they seek that truth, and that truth is more available than it was when I was growing up, because we just went by what the teacher said. We didn't know about our own history till after high school, where we were able to have different avenues to learn about ourselves. But because of social media and the internet and information at your fingertips, you guys are able to learn and know about the past, what happened. You know what I mean? And you take that same history and you grow from it and you learn from it, because our history is beautiful.